Shalom, family. This is Elder Jenkins with the King James Bible University. And I want to speak to you on the topic today, strange fruit. And this is a spiritual teaching, but we want to speak on this topic. We know that the Most High God of Israel planted us to be a vineyard. In his vineyard, we should produce good fruits and fruits that's ripe and nourished up. But the name of this teaching is called strange fruit. So it's my prayer as we go along in this teaching that someone would be richly edified and just come to the knowledge of the truth. You know, here at the King James Bible University, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, we do spiritual teachings here. And we deal with his parables and his riddles and his allegories and his dark sayings. So just stay with me as we go through this teaching. And he's speaking about the strange fruit. I'm even reminded it was a songwriter wrote a song called Strange Fruit. And she was referring to Black men and women hanging from trees. And she titled it The Strange Fruit. But we're going to deal with the spiritual side and we're going to go forward with this teaching. Once again, I'm Elder Jenkins with the King James Bible University. Let's start in Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "Now will I sing to my beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved have a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, O people of Jerusalem, O people of the house of Israel, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard." In other words, choose, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? This is the Most High speaking. Christ, his word. He gave us his law. He planted it in our heart and placed it in our mind so we would be without an excuse. He said, what could I have done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, it brought forth wild grapes. In other words, instead of us following after Christ in that spirit that he gave us, that law that he wrote on our heart, the things that we need to do to follow after his ways, following the virtuous woman, the Spirit of God, we want to get hooked up with this strange woman. We want to follow the strange woman, which is Satan, and produce strange fruit. He said, what could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? And just share a precept, Jeremiah 31, and I'll read 33. He said, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. Verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, meaning know the Spirit of God, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Lord, the Spirit of God, for I will forgive their iniquity, their acts of sin, and I will remember their sin no more. So this is what the Most High wrote on our heart and placed in our mind. And now he asks a question in verse 4, what could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? He done gave us the law in our heart, placed it in our mind, to where we didn't have to be going to say, know the Lord, because we all would know him, from the least to the greatest. And he said, wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. See, we got to own this, family. We have to be accountable for our own actions. We need to look our own self in the mirror and see what we see. Do we see good fruits and the fruits of the Spirit being produced when we look in the mirror? Or do we see strange fruit, meaning the works of the flesh? See, that's the question. Who are you serving? Who is your head? Who are you following? You following the Spirit of God, or you following the spirit of Satan? It's a question. Because clearly he looking for grapes, and he said we producing wild grapes. Verse 5, and now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, meaning that protection, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof. That wall is our belief, that truth, the truth that he gave us, that he placed in our heart, in our mind. He said, I'm going to break down their wall to where you ain't even going to know the truth no more. What you supposed to believe, you ain't going to believe it, because I'm going to break it down for your disobedience. He said, and it shall be trodden down, and I will lay it waste, and it shall not be pruned, nor dig, but there shall come up briars and thorns, meaning nothing but work to the flesh. That's strong delusion. Wild grapes, strange fruit. That's what he's saying. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. No knowledge gonna come on you. I'm not gonna prune it. I'm not gonna dig it up. I'm not gonna do none of those things. He said, we know his glory is in the clouds. He said that they rain no rain on you, no knowledge. For the vineyard of the Lord, the Spirit of God of hosts, is the house of Israel. He's telling us who this vineyard that he's speaking about is. And this goes for throughout the whole scripture. That way, when you get over there in the New Testament, and when he's talking about the wild olive branch being grafted back into the vine, he's talking about the unbelievers coming back into the fold to being a believer, being converted. Or this same vineyard, for the vineyard of the Spirit of God of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. This ties in to those scriptures about the wild olive branch. I don't have that in here, but we're going to just keep moving. He said, and he looked for judgment meaning sound doctrine, but behold, remember, oppression. For righteousness, but behold, a cry. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. He said, woe unto them. Woe unto them. Let's keep going. He said, in my ears, said the Lord of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great in fear without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and the seed of an homer shall yield an ephah. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue unto night, till wine inflame them, and their heart, and the vial, the tabret, and pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of the Lord, the Spirit of God, neither consider the operation of his hands. See, all of that was spiritual verses. He said, yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, meaning it's going to only be few that find this righteous path that we need to be on. It's going to be many that going to be led into the wide and broad way that lead it to destruction. It's only going to be few that goes to that narrow and straight path, that narrow gate that lead it to righteousness. He said, but they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands. Verse 13, therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. So the ones that you hold as high honor, these ministers you see on TV, televangelists, and you hold them at great high honor. He's saying their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst, no knowledge. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself and opened up her mouth without measure. And their glory and their multitude and their pomp, meaning all of their rejoicing and splendor, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it, into hell. See, we just did teaching last week. He said the pastors have transgressed against me. Now he's sitting there telling us the honorable men are famished, and their multitude, their followers, dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. You can tie this teaching right into last week's teaching. All of your celebrations and your pastor's anniversaries and your church anniversaries, and you celebrating this accomplishment and that accomplishment. He said, in their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth, all your rejoicing, you got choir, you got all these anniversaries, all your pomp and rejoicing shall descend right into hell. That's what he's saying. Why? Because you don't have the knowledge of the Most High. You teaching another doctrine. You producing strange fruit. He's looking for grapes, and you producing wild grapes. He's looking for the fruits of the Spirit that comes from the virtuous woman, and you producing these strange fruit that come from the strange woman. I did a teaching a while back called, Are You Seeking the wisdom from the virtuous woman. I believe that's the name of the teacher. So this is very clear for the ones who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand. Let's keep pushing. Hosea 9 and verse 10. He said, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at her first time. But they went to Baal Peor, this false idol god, and separated themselves unto that shame. And their abominations were according as they loved. So all of these things that you love to do is separating you from me. This is what the Most High said. O house of Israel. He said he found us like grapes in the wilderness. He saw our fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at our first time. But what we do, we worship other gods, separated ourselves from our Heavenly Father. Abomination after abomination after abomination. And the sad part about it is this is what's going on right now as we speak. We're not just speaking about the things of old, we're speaking about present time, things that's going on right now that's separating us from the Most High God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're worshiping other gods. We feasting at tables that have a different doctrine to serve you. And he telling us we separating ourselves unto that shame. And the abominations were according as you love. As much as the truth come to you, you don't want to accept it. You love to go get your food, your spiritual food, from where you want to go get it from. Don't matter if it's lining up according to the precepts or not of the Most High, but you love to go get it from where you get it. And he's telling us in the scripture, when you do these things, you separate yourself from the Most High. Isaiah 65 and 3. A people that provoked me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice it in gardens and burn it incense upon altars of brick. This burning incense meaning you going up in these sanctuaries and you praying out to a God. You praying out to a God in this altar, a brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine flesh, meaning you learning these unclean doctrines. See, we know the word eat means to learn or to teach, but in this verse it means to learn. We know the swine flesh is unclean. We know the knowledge of God is spiritual meat. So this is unclean meat, unclean knowledge, unclean doctrine that you're learning. He said, and broth of abominable things in their vessels. You learning all of these doctrines in your temple that's going to send you straight to hell according to the word of God. He said, hell is enlarging in itself and opening up itself without measure. He said in verse 5, which say, stand by thyself. Come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day. That's what the Most High said. You think you holier than thou. Don't come to me with that. I don't want to hear nothing about no precepts. I don't want to hear nothing about no Israel and being no Hebrew Israelites. I'm a Gentile. I'm a Gentile. I always was taught I was a Gentile, and that's who I am. Don't come to me with some old different doctrine. This is what you say. Don't mess with me about no pork, because my God told me once I pray over it and pray for it, he gonna clean it and it's okay to eat. Don't come to me telling me I can't have pork chops. Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. The Most High say, these are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day. Verse 6, behold, remember, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense in their bosom, your iniquities, your acts of sins, and the iniquities of your fathers together, said the Lord, the Spirit of God, which have burned incense upon the mountains, you praying unto me, and blaspheme me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom. He's taking inventory on our life, family. 66 and 17. They that sanctify themselves, meaning separate themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree. This is where you learn it from. In the midst, eating swine flesh, you learning unclean doctrines. You learning doctrines that will not profit you in the kingdom of God. And the abomination in the mouth shall be consumed together, said the Lord, the Spirit of God. That's what he's telling us. All we try to bring this truth to you, you want to reject it. I had a sister striving with me last week on Deacon Micah page about some foolishness. All we trying to do is share this truth, and she want to believe she a Cushite. She want to believe in Egyptology. We don't have the time or the patience to deal with all of these other things outside of this Bible, because he's sitting there telling us they sanctify themselves and purify themselves in a garden behind one tree in the midst, learning these strange, unclean doctrines, swine's flesh, an abomination, most hated, and the mouse shall be consumed together, said the Spirit of God. We don't have the time or the patience to deal with these things. We trying to help reach the ones that have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand and want to know the truth and want to get back in rightful covenant with our Heavenly Father. You trying to bring discourse and division and all these little trick questions and all of these. We ain't got time for none of this foolishness. I think that the sister was going by the name Ink Life. I believe that was the name of her channel, with the little symbol with the circle on the top with the cross. But anyway, let's keep going with this lesson, because clearly she was eating swine's flesh, learning these false doctrines. 1 Corinthians 10 and 18. It says, behold, Israel, after the flesh, are not they which eat of sacrifices partakers of the altar? So, in other words, if you got a mind according to the flesh and not according to the spirit, and you learning the sacrifices partakers of the altar, that's all you about fleshly things and carnal things and not spiritual things. Even as I was dealing with the sister showing her scriptures spiritually, she couldn't understand nothing that I was giving her because she was honing in on one thing that was of the flesh. Verse 19, what say I then, that the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. So going back to verse 20, and I'm just going to hone in on this sister for a minute because it's fresh in my mind. I'm just going to stay right there because the name of that teaching that Deacon Micah did, it was one of his older teachings that he probably did a couple of months ago. And it had to do with, divesting. I think the name of it was called, divesting from black men is a sin worthy of death was the name of the teaching. And in the comment section, I posted a comment just encouraging the brother. And yeah, she go by Ink Life, A-N-K-H Life. And so the word Gentiles in verse 20, spiritually speaking about Gentiles in the mind, that's people that have vain imaginations. They go after vain thoughts and minds and ideals and worship idol gods spiritually. So you got Hebrews that's acting as Gentiles. You got Ham's children acting as Gentiles, and you got Japheth children acting as Gentiles. Whichever one that decide to have a vain imagination and going after vain things and worshiping idol gods. It don't matter if you Shem's children, Ham's children, or Japheth's children. It don't matter because this is being a heathen is the characteristic of being an adversary against God, not following the things of God. So he said, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, these heathen, these ones that have a vain imagination, vain thoughts, worshiping idol gods, dumb idols, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. So you got some of Shem's children doing this, some of Ham's children doing this, and some of Japheth's children doing this same exact thing. When you look at it spiritually. Verse 21, he said, ye cannot drink the cup of the Creator, the Lord, and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devil. It's going to be one or other. So it's almost like you're going to choose the virtuous woman or the strange woman. You ain't got no in between. So this is what's going on. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and verse 11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. These same ones that have vain imaginations, vain thoughts, worshiping dumb idol gods, don't matter if they children of Shem, children of Ham, children of Japheth. He say there's going to be a visitation because of these idols of these Gentiles. We speaking all things spiritually today. because in the creature of God, they are become an abomination, most hated, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. See, the reason why I'm harping on the sister ain't life, because she straight up told me she don't believe in the Bible. She said that this Bible was created from the Rothschilds. She don't believe in the Bible, but yet want me to prove that we're the Israelites. So you want me to prove something using the book that you don't even believe in. You got some other book you learning from. This is foolishness. So he said, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. 1 Maccabees 3:52. And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us thou knowest. See, that's that vain imagination. Verse 51, for thy sanctuary is trodden down and profaned, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low. 49, they brought also the priest's garments and the first fruits and the tithes and the Nazarites. They stirred up, who had accomplished their days. 48, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. This is what they've done. 1 Maccabees 1:41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So whenever we do the things that these Israelites did in verse 43, that automatically makes us a Gentile. That automatically make us a heathen. Because why? We sacrificing unto idols and consenting to another man's religion and profaning the Sabbath, when our God, the Most High God of Israel, told us not to do these things. Verse 44, for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem in the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. See, if you're going to follow strange laws, those strange laws going to produce strange fruit, because them strange laws coming from the strange woman. And for anyone that's new over here, if you want to know what the strange woman is, just look up the teaching that I did. It's called, Are You Seeking a Virtuous Woman? I believe is the name of it. But I'm going to give you a precept to help you along the way. We're going to hit Proverbs, let's see. They hit Proverbs chapter 5. And I'm going to read 5 verses in Proverbs chapter 5, just so you can know about this strange woman. It says in verse 1, my son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman, this is talking about the spirit of Satan, drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood. sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. So these strange laws is coming from this strange woman, spirit of Satan, the ancient and honorable. And when you follow these strange laws, you're going to produce strange fruit. That's all I'm trying to make sure that we got it clear. Matter of fact, I did another teaching right beside that one. It's called, Are You Yoked Up to the Strange Woman? So you can look at both of those to get a little bit more insight on the virtuous woman and the strange woman, spiritually speaking. Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths in festival days, and pollute the sanctuary in holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols. These are churches with idol gods, idol doctrines, and sacrifice swine flesh and unclean beasts. That's these unclean doctrines that's in these chapels of idols, where there are set up altars and groves for you to burn your incense, meaning pray out to these idol gods. This is what verse 47 is talking about. Churches of idols, chapels of idols. Verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. Spiritually speaking, that you don't teach them about the truth. Carnally speaking is physically leaving these men, child, uncircumcised. Verse 49, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So my question is, we already read in Jeremiah 31 and 33, in verse 34, what the Most High said he have done. He placed the law in our hearts, in our minds. In Isaiah chapter 5, he asked the question, what more could I have done in my vineyard that I didn't do? What more could have I done? Because now you got this old wicked king here offering you a strange law, and he's making sure that you forget the law and change all the ordinances. And he said, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So we see our brothers and sisters was in a great predicament. First, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15, let's go back to the law and see what the Most High wrote on us in the covenant, these things that is written on us. He said, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, the Spirit of God thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So you got one king over here in Maccabees telling you, if you don't do the commandment of the king, you're going to die. Then you got the king over our souls, the Spirit of God, our God. He said that if we don't deserve to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So one say he gonna kill you, and the other one saying he gonna curse you. So this is the predicament that we in. Let's keep going. Verse 18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Spiritually speaking, the knowledge that you should be getting and increasing in going to be cursed. You're not going to get that knowledge because why? You're being disobedient. Carnally speaking, he's speaking about your offspring, your kids, your seed. But we here for spiritual meat. So we talking about the increase of our knowledge and our learning so we know the things that is required of us. He said, cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. The Lord, the Spirit of God, shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hands unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. This is Christ speaking. He said, being that thou hast forsaken me, you're going to be cursed in all your doings. This is very important, family, that we get this thing down in our souls, that we get this thing down in our spirits, and we know exactly what's going on. He says in verse 20, the Lord, the Spirit of God, shall send upon thee, verse 21. He said, the Lord, the Spirit of God, shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. He said, we're going to be consumed. Verse 22, the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. See, we have a Sabbath Bible study class Saturday mornings, and we went through this entire chapter. And we went through the spiritual understanding on this blasting and this mildew and this extreme burning and this fever and this inflammation. And it gives you a whole deeper understanding of what he's actually speaking of. But verse 23 say, and thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. The Lord, the Spirit of God, shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. Meaning it ain't gonna be no knowledge coming unto you. It's gonna be dried up. Where it should be water coming down, it's gonna be powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. Meaning it's gonna be darkness unto you. No knowledge. Let's keep going. Verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. That's the 4 corners of the earth, family. He's sitting there telling us we're going to be smitten before our enemies, shot down, trodden over, in some cases hung before our enemies. He said, thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. You're going to be sold in bondage, slavery. Family is going to be split up. You're going to the 4 corners of the earth. We know our history. We know Brazil got the majority of all of us. We know this. Verse 26, he say, and thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. So the carnal meaning is speaking just as that songwriter wrote the song called Strange Fruit. You're going to be swinging from the trees. You're going to have a noose around your neck. You're going to be hanging from these trees, and the fowls going to be coming, plucking upon your head. These are the things that happened to our forefathers. And a sister named Nina Simone, when you get a chance, she sung a song called Strange Fruit. Nina Simone. Then you got another sister named Billie Holiday. She also sung one called Strange Fruit, but the one I'm talking about is Nina Simone. Look that up when you get a chance. That's on the carnal understanding of the scripture. Things that you can actually pull up and see where we was hanging from these big old oak trees, and the fowls of the air, these buzzards, was able to come pluck upon our carcass for meat. The spiritual meaning is speaking about all of these different systems. It's going to be always taken, always out for gain. We don't own and control anything. We have all of this buying power, and everything is to retract and abstract out the money from our neighborhoods and bring that money into others' neighborhoods that own and control all of these things, all of these systems that's set up in place. Come and set up shop in your neighborhood and extract all of the money out and take it somewhere else. And this is on the spiritual side, but we're going to keep going. Hosea 9:11. As for Ephraim, their glory shall fly away like a bird from the birth and from the womb and from the conception. Though they bring up their children, yet will I bereave them. The Most High sitting there saying, because you being so disobedient, because you won't hearken unto my voice, he said, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. He said, though they bring up their children, yet will I bereave them. In other words, I'm going to kill them. That's what he's saying. Somebody said, oh no, he won't do that. Okay, let's keep going. He said that there shall not be a man left. Yea, woe also to them when I depart from them. See, all you that's stay in the New Testament only believers, you don't believe that the Most High have a judgment that's upon his people, and not only his people, but all people. You look at your God as this passive God, and a God that's just don't care what you did, he loved you anyhow. Maybe that's how your God operates. But the God of this Bible, the one that created the heaven and the earth, he said, yet will I bereave them, that there shall not be a man left. Yea, woe also to them when I depart from them. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. The Most High ain't playing with us, family. He said, you're going to bring forth your children to the murderer. He said, give them, O Lord, O Spirit of God, what wilt thou give? He said, give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts. Meaning that child won't even come out. That's what he's saying. This is what he's saying, family. Verse 15, all their wickedness is in Gilgal, for there I hated them for the wickedness of their doings. I will drive them out of mine house. I will love them no more. All their princes are revolters. Ephraim is smitten. Their root is dried up. They shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. It's how you're going to have a miscarrying womb. So far, all I'm doing is reading the scriptures with an understanding. I ain't add nothing to it. The Most High is speaking. So for the ones that don't think the Most High operate his judgment, you got another thing coming. Matter of fact, my brother, Deacon Micah and OKC, King James Bible University, he just got through doing a tutorial on a precept for the ones that believe that God hates the sin, but loves the sinner. I believe that was the name of that teaching. And he showed in his preceptors where that is not the truth. That is so far from the truth. And this teaching that I'm bringing out today is pretty much confirming that that is not the truth. Verse 17 said, my God will cast them away because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations. We're going to be in the wilderness, four corners of the earth. Ecclesiasticus 39:16. All the works of the Creator, the Lord, are exceeding good. And whatsoever he commanded shall be accomplished in due season. And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For at time convenient they shall all be sought out. At his commandment, the waters stood as in heap, and at the words of his mouth, the receptacles of water. At his commandment is done whatsoever pleaseth him, and none can hinder when he will save. The works of all flesh are before him, and nothing can be hid from his eyes. Nothing. Galatians 5:19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murderers, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So he's being very clear, and we've been going over these verses right here, spiritually and carnally, for quite a while now. Even Elder Johnson has been breaking this down in Romans, so we even know the spiritual side of these verses and not just the carnal side. We know we can commit adultery against our God by worshiping other gods, fornicating with other gods, idolizing other gods. So we know that's the spiritual side of it. It's uncleanness, you learning unclean doctrine. That's the swine flesh, eating unclean meats. Spiritually, is talking about unclean doctrines. That's what's going on here. Let's keep going. Ecclesiastes 39:20. He said from everlasting to everlasting, and there is nothing wonderful before him. A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he have made all things for their uses. His blessing covered the dry land as a river and watered it as a flood. That's going back to Genesis chapter 1 in the beginning when he created these things, but that's a spiritual verse. We're going to keep going. Verse 23, as he have turned the waters into saltness, so shall the heathen inherit his wrath. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. So the ones that have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, we know these waters being turned into saltness is his truth, his knowledge, his wisdom. But these heathens that they don't get it, they don't understand it, they're wicked. They want to please their flesh. He says a stumbling block unto them, and for that reason, they're going to inherit wrath. That's what's going on here. Clearly, that sister said she didn't believe the Bible. It was created by the Rothschilds. Soon as she said that, I already knew it wasn't no need to cast pearls to swine because she wasn't going to get it. According to these words, the scriptures, he said, as his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. 1 Corinthians 2:6. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which Yahweh ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Creator, our Lord. Talking about Christ, which was resting in Yahweh's body. Verse 9, but as it is written, I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which Yahweh have prepared for them that love him. Verse 10, but Yahweh have revealed them unto us by his Spirit, for the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man, which is in him? Even so the things of Yahweh knoweth no man, but the Spirit of Yahweh. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of Yahweh, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of Yahweh. That's what he's telling us. Freely we receive, freely we must give. Verse 13, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Ghost teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. Verse 14, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, meaning teacheth all things, yet he himself is judge of no man, meaning taught of no man. Verse 16, for who have known the mind of the Lord, of the Creator, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. So when we speak in this spiritual language, if you already in the truth and you studying the spiritual understanding of God, you should clearly understand these teachings. If you're new to this, you may have to go back over it a couple of times and study these words and seek the Most High. And he'll show you these things. He'll open it up to you. He say, he who hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. He'll show you that the word grass means people. He'll show you that the word gold means wisdom. He'll show you these things in the scripture. But let's keep going. Ecclesiasticus 39:25. For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly. So to the sinners, they are turned into evil. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So we clearly see these spirits that's created for vengeance. Verse 29, fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word, meaning they shall not forget his word. Therefore, from the beginning, I was resolved and thought upon these things and have left them in writing. Baruch 3:4. O Lord Almighty, the Creator, the God, thou God of Israel, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites and of their children which have sinned before thee, and not hearken unto the voice of thee, their God, for the which cause these plagues cleave unto us. Remember not the iniquities, the act of sins of our forefathers, our works and our deeds, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. For thou art the Lord our God, the Creator, in thee, O Lord, we will praise. And for this cause, thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity, meaning wherever we're located at, we ought to be praising you, obeying your voice, hearkening unto your voice, and following after you. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Creator our God. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life, give ear to understand wisdom. Verse 10, how happening it, Israel? that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave, that thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. For if thou hast walked in the way of God, Yahweh, thou shouldst have dwelled in peace forever. Learn where is wisdom. Learn where is strength. Learn where is understanding, that thou mayest also that thou mayest know also where is length of days in life, where is the light of the eyes in peace. Proverbs 1 in verse 20. Wisdom cried without. She uttered her voice in the streets. She cried in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gate. In the city, she uttered her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. See, Baruch just got through telling us what we was doing and the reason why we was scattered to the four corners of the earth. Now he's telling us about this wisdom. Verse 23, turn you at my reproof. Behold, remember, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. That's what the Most High telling us. He gonna make known his words. In other words, he gonna wake us up out of deep sleep. But just think of how many of us that's still sleeping. Just think of how many of us that's still plugged in to the matrix and we don't want to be unplugged. We still in this matrix. You don't want to hold to the words of the Most High. You don't want him to pour out his spirit upon you. You don't even want him to make known his words to you, because when he send his word to you and tell you who you are and what you need to be doing, you don't want to receive it. Ecclesiasticus 24:3. I came out of the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth as a cloud. This Christ speaking. Verse 8. So the creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. He created me from the beginning, before the world, and I shall never fail. In the holy tabernacle I served before him, and so was I established in Zion. Likewise, in the beloved city, he gave me rest, and in Jerusalem was my power. And I took root in an honorable people, even in the portion of the Lord's inheritance. Proverbs 7:1. My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. So he just got through telling us, let me back up a little bit. He told us that the creator of all things gave him a commandment, and he that made him caused his tabernacle to rest, and he said, let thy dwelling place be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. He telling us what the Most High, the creator of all things, gave Christ this commandment. And he telling us that he took a root in an honorable people, even in the portion of the Lord's inheritance. He telling us that he was created from the beginning, before the world, and he should never fail. Now he's telling us that we need to lay up his commandments. We need to keep his words. He's telling us that if we do these things, we should live. And the sad thing, a lot of us refuse to do it. We want to continue being that strange fruit. We want to continue being those wild grapes. We don't want to be the grapes that the Most High is looking for. We want to be wild grapes. Proverbs 2:6. For the Lord, the Spirit of God, giveth wisdom. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. That's why if you ever follow me for a while, you always hear me saying the spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because this comes from the Spirit of God, Christ. The spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He laid up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment, meaning he keepeth the paths of sound doctrine, and preserveth the way of his saints. Isaiah 65:8. Thus said the Lord, the Spirit of God, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one said, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it. So will I do for my servants' sakes, that I may not destroy them all. And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob and out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. So we already know this spiritually speaking about Christ. We just got through seeing the precept in Ecclesiasticus chapter 24. Just got through seeing this. The inheritor of his mountains. Let's keep going. Isaiah 43:10. Ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, the Spirit of God, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. Even I am the Spirit of God, the Lord, and beside me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved, and I have showed where there was no strange God among you. That's that strange woman. Therefore ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, that I am God. That's a heavy verse. Yea, before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it? Most High speaking. Verse 14. Thus said the Lord, the Spirit of God, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, for your sake I have sent to Babylon and have brought down all their nobles and the Chaldeans whose cry is in the ships. See, we already know we come from the root of the Chaldeans. That's our people. That's what Abraham's fathers and his forefathers, Chaldeans. That's our lineage. He said, whose cry is in the ships, meaning in all these different doctrines, all these different belief systems. He said, I am the Lord, the Spirit of God, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. See, we saw over there earlier where King Antiochus over in First Maccabees said, if you don't follow his commandment, and pick up his strange laws, you're going to die. But the Most High sitting there, he said, I am the Lord, the Spirit of God, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. He's being very specific when he speaks. Chapter 44 and verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus said the Lord, the Spirit of God that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water, meaning knowledge, upon him that is thirsty, and floods much knowledge upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thy offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses, meaning you're going to have some good fruit and not no strange fruit. Verse 5, one shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, the Spirit of God, and surname himself by the name of Israel. Thus said the Lord, the Spirit of God, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last. And besides me, there is no God. And who, as I shall call, and shall declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people and the things that are coming, and shall come. Let them show unto them, fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee from that time, and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a God besides me? Yea, there is no God. I know not any. Deuteronomy 7 and 9. Know therefore that the Lord, the Spirit of God, thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repay them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hated him. He will repay him to his face. So I know a lot of you got some homework from Deacon Micah at OKC King James Bible University. And we throwing out a lot of precepts here that they help you out even with your homework, because he asked for some specific information. And if you pay close attention, you'll get some help along the way. Well, let's keep going. Jeremiah 31 and 27. He said, behold, remember the days come, said the Lord, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beasts. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down, meaning to pluck up these false doctrines and belief systems, and to break it down, to throw it down, and to destroy it, and to afflict it. He says, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, said the Lord, the Spirit of God. So he gonna build you up and plant in you the word of truth, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That's what he's telling you. He gonna destroy, he gonna break down, he gonna pluck up, he gonna throw down, he gonna afflict all of this false doctrine, this swine's flesh that you're learning, all these unclean spiritual meat, unclean doctrines, unclean knowledge, defiled knowledge, he gonna pluck it up. He gonna break it down. You wanna worship Egypt and be an Egyptologist and worship the God of the Egyptians, you go right ahead. The Most High say he gonna destroy, afflict, throw down, break down, and pluck up. For the ones who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand. And I hope one day Christ lead that sister to this teacher. She can be corrected. He say, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, said the Lord, Spirit of God. In those days, they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, meaning they learn a sour grape, a sour doctrine, a doctrine that wasn't pleasant for us. And the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Everyone shall die for his own acts of sin. Everyone shall die for his own works and deeds according to the flesh. That's what he's saying. And every man that eateth the sour grape, every man that's learning these unclean, defiled doctrines, his teeth shall be set on edge. That's what he's telling us. You can't put it on Yahweh. You can't put it on Jesus and expect for the things that he's done. You can keep living how you want to live and think you're going to get in the kingdom off the back of Yahweh. That ain't happening. He said, but everyone shall die for his own iniquity. I want to make sure that that is crystal clear. Crystal clear. Our own actions, our own works and deeds. Isaiah 5:15. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled. And that means man or woman, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. But the Lord, the Spirit of God of hosts, shall be exalted in judgment, meaning he's going to be exalted in sound doctrine. And God, Yahweh, that is holy, shall be sanctified in righteousness, meaning separated in righteousness. Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places of the fat ones shall strangers eat, meaning strangers gonna learn. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as it were with a cotton rope. Verse 19, that say, let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. See, it's been a many a times try to share this truth with individuals and just pertaining to the Sabbath day. And the first thing come out of their mouth, oh, every day is a Sabbath day. Any day is holy. Every day is a Sabbath day. And that is so far from the truth. And he's sitting there telling us, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You sitting here doing all of these things and you don't see nothing wrong with it. You don't have a problem with it because you feel like it ain't nothing wrong with it. That's what you feel like. Every day is the Sabbath day. Every day I got to keep holy. Every day is the Sabbath day. It don't matter about that Sabbath day, that Saturday. You need to go on somewhere with that because none of that doesn't matter. This is what they'll tell you. And right in the scripture, let me pull a precept. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, and I'm going to start at verse 8. And I'll go down to probably about verse 11. He says, by the knowledge of the Lord, the Creator, they were extinct. Well, matter of fact, let me go to verse 7. Ecclesiasticus 33 and verse 7. It says, why do one day excel another, when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun? He asking a question. By the knowledge of the Lord, the Creator, they were distinguished, and he altered seasons and feasts. Some of them have he made high days and hallowed them, and some of them have he made ordinary days. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth. And much knowledge the Lord have divided them and made their ways diverse. So for the one out there that's telling us, oh, every day is a Sabbath day, it don't matter about the Sabbath. Any day is the Sabbath. Every day is the Sabbath. He's sitting there telling us, some of them have he made high days and hallowed them, and some of them have he made ordinary days. Verse 11, and much knowledge the Lord, the Creator, have divided them and made their ways diverse. So the scripture alone is telling us what time it is. But we want to sit there and act like we don't have to make a difference between the ordinary days and Sabbath day. We don't have to make a difference between clean and unclean. We don't have to make a difference between holy and unholy. This is what you truly believe. The Most High say, woe unto you. Verse 24, therefore, as the fire devoured the stubble and the flame consumeth the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of the Lord, the Spirit of God of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore is the anger of the Lord kindled against his people, and he have stretched forth his hand against them, and have smitten them, and the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. This is the type of God we serve. His hand is stretched out still. Isaiah 59 and 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. The Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression, and Jacob that turn from forgetfulness, said the Lord, the Spirit of God. As for me, this is my covenant with them. With who? With the house of Israel, said the Lord, the Spirit of God. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, said the Lord, from henceforth and forever. So he's telling us the words that he put in our mouth. As we learn them, they shall not depart out of our mouths, not out of our seed, meaning our offspring, our children, or our children's children. They should not depart out of their mouth. That's what he's telling us. So we clearly see we have a work to do, family. We have a work to do. And at the very end, he said, from henceforth and forever. So the question is, family, are you producing strange fruits right here and right now? When you get through watching this teaching, I want you to go in your bathroom or your bedroom and look in the mirror. Go in there by yourself and look in the mirror and ask yourself the question, are you producing strange fruit? Or are you producing the fruits of the Spirit? Do you want to be the grapes of the vineyard that Christ is coming back to receive, to gather up? Or do you want to continue to be a wild grape in the vineyard? You want to be that wild grape that we already know the wild grape is going to get plucked up, cast out. We already know this. So the question is to you. Which one you want to be? We already saw in the word in Isaiah chapter 5, he said that this vineyard, or these fruit that he was talking about, was the house of Israel and the men of Judah. He clearly told us this. So the choice is ours. So I hope and pray that something was said to give you some strength or maybe open up your eyes a little bit more concerning this truth and a lot of the parables that he used, because Isaiah chapter 5 was clearly a parable, and you saw that we went several places to break down this parable. We see that the Most High speak a lot of spiritual language. In this particular Isaiah chapter 5, he was calling us grapes for some of us, and some of us was wild grapes. It was his vineyard. And we got to pull the precepts to work this out. This is what he commanded us to do. So I hope everyone have a wonderful Sabbath. Continue to study and never give up. Don't give up on learning and keeping the faith. Live out the rest of your days learning the wisdom, knowledge, and gaining understanding from the Most High. He will reward you greatly. So I'm going to say a shalom to everyone until we meet again. Shalom.